Lately, there were two games I've been hooked on, especially after playing Wuchang Fallen Feathers. They've been surprisingly healing for me. So annoying. Just so close. They're not blockbuster AAA hits, but both are some new entries from long-standing, well-known series. Instead of being lazy rehashes, they actually feel alive, like old trees sprouting new branches. So today, let's talk about how old IPs can surprise us all over again. Alright, let's start with 2 Point Museum. This one comes from 2 Point Studios, which was founded in 2016, not ancient by any means. But here's the cool part, the team behind it, they're the folks who give us Theme Hospital. Yeah, that game. After Bullfrog got absorbed by EA, the creators left, regrouped 2 years later, and boom, 2 Point Studios was born. Now, 2 Point Hospital kept that same DNA, building treatment rooms, hiring staff with different skills, diagnosing goofy illnesses, and optimizing the layout so your hospital runs like a money-making machine. And, of course, the best part, the British-style dark humor. Absurd diseases, ridiculous scenarios turned what could have been a dry hospital sim into something funny and full of charm. 2 Point Hospital was a huge success, both in sales and reputation. Naturally, the studio thought, let's do it again. So they made 2 Point Campus. And yeah, here's where people started to get nervous. Patients become students, doctors turn into professors, hospital room turn into classrooms, but the gameplay? Basically unchanged. Some players were fine with that, but others wondered, is this formula already running dry? Does 2 Point Studios have any fresh ideas left? Turns out they did. This year's 2 Point Museum, it changes the game. Instead of being room-based like before, it's now zone-based. In the hospitals and campus titles, you build functional rooms and the patients or students moved among them to complete a pipeline, either being cured or graduating. But now, you're creating entire visitor paths through the museum. Each gallery is like one giant room, and visitors donate money depending on how fun and educational your exhibits are. That's your main income, which instantly makes path planning way more important. On top of that, collecting exhibits is a whole new adventure. You send out specialists on expeditions, and what you get is partly random, like opening a blind box every time they come back. Plus, you need to meet certain goals to unlock new expedition sites, which gently pushes you along the game growth curve. It's a perfect little reward loop. Fun, motivation, and it teaches you the system without overwhelming you. There will be no I'm lost and frustrated moments. Looking at you, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And we're just getting started. This game is packed with detail. No more samey grind like in earlier entries. There are 5 theme maps, each with unique strategies. In Memento Mile, it's a classic explore exhibit loop. In Past Water Cove, it's basically a giant aquarium where you display fish. In Wayland Lodge, a haunted hotel where you give ghosts their own suites. This one feels more close to the old room-based design. Bungo Wasteland, it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi where you collect blueprints and you craft exhibits yourself. In Pebbly Heights, you unlock cosmic anomalies and link them together into a giant web before they activate their full power. That's a ton of varieties right there already. And then the DLC, Fantasy Finds, blew me away. Expeditions now feel like a mini RPG. Your specialists actually have classes. Barbarians, wizards, rangers, bards, with stats like strength, dexterity, intelligence, or luck. Each expedition plays out like a D&D inside a management scene. The magical artifacts you bring back add even more fun. Some can be equipped by staff, others give buffs or debuffs, and some interact with each other in wild ways. For example, if you collect a full set of Dwarven devices, you can literally smell steel. It's clever, it's playful, and it proves the studio isn't out of ideas at all. To me, 2 Point Museum feels like the true spiritual successors of Theme Hospital. 2 Point Hospital was fun, but more of a nostalgia trip than a fresh thrill. Museum, on the other hand, recaptures that original magic while still feeling new. Now let's talk about farming sims. The Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar has gotten a lot of love from players. Technically, it's a remake of the original Harvest Moon Grand Bazaar on DS and NDS. But here's the thing, it doesn't feel like just a remake. It's basically a whole new game. Before this, I played quite a few farming games, but honestly, most of them felt the same. A few tweaks here and there, but not much innovation. New ones started to feel like reskins. That's why this game hit me like a breath of fresh air. The biggest changes come down to two things. Most farming sims take place on flat maps. Whether pixel art or 3D arts, they're still essentially 2D. Here, you can jump. It's a small ability, but it instantly adds another layer of exploration. Pair that with the wind system, where daily wind strength changes which area you can reach and what materials you can collect, and suddenly the routine farming loops has an element of surprise. Normally, you have to build tons of machines to process goods. Here, everything happens in windmills. As you progress, you unlock better windmills that make higher value products but require tougher to get inputs. No more cluttering your farm with dozens of machines or running endless collection loops. It keeps things clean and focused. Farming itself also shifts. Instead of being dumped onto a giant blank field to design however you like, your farmland and animal barns are fixed. For some, that's a limitation, but for me, it's liberating. I'm too lazy to decorate tile by tile. I don't have to stress over designing the perfect farm. I can just focus on running the best possible market. That's what I love most about this game. The Story of Seasons series has decades of experience in hardcore resource management design, and Grand Bazaar doubles down on that. Unlike Stardew Valley, which is more about varieties and collections, this game is more about upgrading. If you don't actively improve your crops and livestock, etc., they will stay low quality forever, no matter how long you play. That forces you to think hard about daily routines and resource allocation. Only tight resource planning lets you maximize profits on market day. It's intense, sure, but for me, that's the fun. Of course, not everyone agrees. For some players, it feels like work, but that's the beauty of cozy games. Someone's meat is another one's poison. For me, Grand Bazaar hits the sweet spot. We're in the middle of a remake wave right now, and sure, part of it is nostalgia, part of it's smart business. Remaking old games is safer than making brand new ones. But here's the catch, nostalgia fades fast. When players say they miss old games, what they often missing is the time, the memory, the feeling, not the actual mechanics. So when a remake is just one-to-one copy, it might feel nice for a few hours, but that magic doesn't last. Just look at Story of Seasons Friends of Mineral Town or Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu Eevee. The real magic happens when devs strike that balance, nostalgia plus innovation. That's why remakes like Final Fantasy and Resident Evil blow people away. They respect the past, but they also push forward. And that's what these two games, 2 Point Museum and Grand Bazaar, remind me of. Classics aren't just locked away memories, they're living soil. If creators nurture them with fresh ideas, these old trees can keep growing, keep blooming, keep bearing fruits. Because at the end of the day, a true classic isn't stuck in the past. It's a future waiting to be reborn. So let me ask you, what's the last old IP that genuinely surprised you? Drop it in the comments, I'd love to hear your picks. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Let's keep the conversation going.